please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone.
And Happy New Year, everybody.
And Happy New Year, yeah. It is January 5th, 2015. This is the Broadwater Commissioners' General Meeting. Before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping. We do have a Broadwater County public meeting policy, and we do follow Robert's Rules of Order. The purpose of this policy is to open Broadwater County public meetings to all county citizens. We realize we have a fiscal and fiduciary responsibility to conduct county business as efficiently as possible for all Broadwater County residents. Commission meetings are recorded and are on YouTube, so please state your full name prior to any public comment for the record. Any separate conversations need to be removed from the meeting and conducted outside. Outbursts will not be tolerated. Public comment will give each citizen who wishes to speak an initial 3 minutes to do so, and all comments will be directed to the board chairman. So with that, we will jump right into public comment. Is there any public comment this morning? Bill?
Bill Kearns, Angus doesn't go here, but I wanted to compliment the people of Toston on that beautiful bridge lighting, and the State Bank and Ross and myself are going to give them $500 to help and encourage other people to give them money. Franklin, are they trying to build new lights, or what are they trying to do there?
No, it seems like every year they gotta add some, or some deteriorate, stuff like that.
But if you're around, you might mention, I think they're looking for money, so.
And then pay the power bill too.
So how long will they stay lit?
Well, usually they go off at New Year's, but I see that they're the day after New
Yeah.
Year's, but they were still on the night before last, so. I don't know if they just,
I haven't been that way.
they got an automatic for it to kick on, and
Oh, do they?
apparently nobody shut it off. I guess, I don't handle the controls at all.
Well, thank you, Bill, and thank you to State Bank. Any
And
other?
Ross.
And Ross, yes, absolutely. Any other public comment? All right, how about Montana Minutes? Franklin, you have anything good to say about our state or county?
No thanks, Bill, they just said it. Also, attended the firemen had their annual Christmas dinner, and they always have it after the first of the year. And it was very good as usual. Maybe Elaine wants to elaborate on that a little bit more, but it was great.
They had a wonderful turnout, wonderful turnout. And the prime rib was to die for. But I just have to say hats off. As you first came in the door, there was a table there, and they had pictures. And as I'm sure most of you are aware, they have acquired at very, very, very little cost a lot of equipment in the last few years. And one of them was Edwin cleared somewhere in New York and brought back a fire engine. And that belongs to the city now. He brought one back, this great big thing. I think I'd have to have a ladder to get up into it. But it was Army surplus, 2 years old. And brought it back, painted it red and white. It looks great. It'll be a tender, I guess. But they had a very, very good turnout, and I just say hats off. They do a wonderful job.
And ditto, what those guys have done with the resources that they have is phenomenal. I think we are very lucky to have the fire district that we do, both the county and working with Three Forks and the city of Townsend. So absolutely dittos.
I don't think they could have fit many more people in there last night. It was pretty well picked.
Pretty well, yeah.
They could if they moved more trucks out, but it was good.
Absolutely. I'm glad you guys were able to make it. I'm sorry I was not. But still, huge kudos to that group. So, Commissioner's Community Update. Anything else to report as far as work this week with the holiday?
I attended the swearing-in ceremony last week. Very, very nice for the four that were sworn in. Wish them all the best. And then the other part, community would be the fireman's dinner.
Yeah. The swearing in was impressive. Corey and Kirk both brought their families. The Attorney General for the state of Montana, Tim Fox, attended. And it was really a very nice ceremony, and Judge Olson, it was his last act as JP for the county after so many years. And then Elaine bought cake for everybody to celebrate, so it was a really nice celebration. So, with that, any Montana minute from the public? All right. First order of business then is the minutes from 2 weeks ago, December 22, 2014. Those were emailed out prior to Ann taking off for parts that were supposed to be warmer than Montana.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as sent to us.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of January 22. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yes.
I'm putting December,
What did I say?
January.
December 22nd, 2014. Thank you, Sharon. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I didn't even notice that.
Most people go back to December and don't. Takes a while for the new year.
I always hate the first checks you write in the new year. I have a hard time writing the new year.
Oh, yeah.
I have one more thing. Hats off, Ann. Congratulations on your daughter's
Oh,
wedding.
thank you very much.
Glad you got to go.
I am too.
And I'm sorry it wasn't warmer.
It was still great,
Oh, yeah. It's not the weather, it's who you see.
absolutely.
Well, and it was a lot nicer than here,
Yeah, this is true.
Right.
so you have to look at the bright side.
We have 2015 calendars, one for each of you. Department of Natural Resources, and this is a Water Rights Compact Commission. We'll be reviewing the revised compact between Federal, Salish, and Kootenai tribes and Montana Reserve Water Rights Compact Commission and the United States. There's some meeting times and dates if anyone is interested. We will have our new county attorney come in to talk to us and give us just some updates today, but in the meantime, this is a letter from the Attorney General's office. And it's more informative, but there are some projects that Corey will continue to see to fruition. And also, the Attorney General's office will be assisting him as he needs for criminal work in the county.
I think he'll be a nice addition to our county.
Yeah, I do too. All right, next we have payroll in the amount of $146,327.40.
Make a motion that we approve payroll, $146,327.40.
It's been moved and seconded to pay payroll of $146,327.40. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And we have the approved claims from last week in the amount of $35,158.73.
And we paid approved claims of $35,000 plus.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the approved claims from last week in the amount of $35,158.73. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. There you go.
his funeral. He was such an asset to this community.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
lived the biggest share of his life right here and was involved in a lot of things, including starting Lions Club. So,
I didn't know that.
he's a charter member.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I drove the school bus for 40 years, they said at his funeral. 40 years, he and Betty.
This one isn't for the record, but
Yeah.
I also attended there too.
Mike told that one day when he was out visiting with the family before the funeral, they were telling different stories about Grandpa. And Lane got a brand new pickup, his first. He was so proud of it, and he had it parked at Grandma and Grandpa's house. And then Lane and Casey went on down in the field to do something. Pretty soon Casey looks up and he said, Lane, isn't that your pickup coming down here? And he was not where the road was, but he was coming down through the ditches and the gullies and all. Got up the field and he started hooking around Brody's. And Mike said, and he carried our kids for 45 years. The family has some wonderful memories.
It was a big funeral, wasn't it?
It was very big. They set up twice. I don't know where you would have gone, anybody. Unless you opened the door for the entryway and people sat out there. But it was a nice funeral, a nice tribute to Ray. I'll behave now.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. All right, we are at 10:15, County Commission reorganization, set meeting schedule and decision. This is part of the beginning of the year resolutions that we do every year. So there's a couple of things. I've written a couple of resolutions for us to approve next week on these particular subjects. What we need to do is, among other things, set and/or modify the per diem travel rates. What we did last year and the year before is we just set our rates to match those of the state.
I think we should do it again.
All right, and that's what the resolution says. Should the state change in June, then we're set.
I'll make a motion that we match our per diem with the state per diem.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the state per diem rates for travel and for meals, if that's all right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, and I have those resolutions, if you guys want to see them, I can present those next week. That one's pretty small. So the next one is our, a resolution to establish regular meeting dates of the Broadwater County Commission. Currently, we have, that we meet, of course, every Monday, Tuesday if there's a holiday, the Tuesday after the holiday, and then every other Wednesday. We have an employee who takes the appointments for us during the week for the next agenda. And it's hard for anybody who isn't doing this every single day to remember if it's the first and third or the second and fourth. During the budget season, during times when we have a lot of work to do, we meet every Wednesday. We don't really adhere to the first and third or the second and fourth. So what I propose for the new resolution for the next coming year is that we just have on it that we'll meet any Wednesday as needed.
That makes sense. Doing a motion as such?
Yeah, and then that way I won't waste any time on a resolution that we're not in agreement
So
on. Second?
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded then to adopt every Wednesday as needed as a new meeting date for the commission. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So here's that resolution. And then the third resolution is just on a resolution establishing hours of operation for Broadwater County offices. And it's just really the same times as last year. The courthouse has to be opened particular days. We cannot arbitrarily choose holidays like Friday after Thanksgiving or This year, I think the feds added Christmas Eve as a holiday. We can't do that. We follow the state holidays, so if the legislature makes some changes this year, we can change the resolution. But that's the last one. I don't foresee and haven't been advised of any changes.
The federal also, the day after Christmas, the holiday this year.
Or was it the day after Christmas?
Was.
Yeah, we had a lot of questions.
No.
So that may be something that the legislature will address this year.
Motion on that. Give me a motion.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll make a motion. That we do the established hours of operation for county offices.
That's it, same
It's
as.
been- It's been
No
moved and
change.
seconded to follow through with the resolution establishing hours of operation for county offices. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, I did send those to the county attorney's office. I haven't heard back, so I'll have those for next week anyway. And again, I didn't want to put too much work in if we were not going to be following those resolutions. They really are just the ones from last year.
Well, the codes say the same thing,
Yeah,
and we're required to follow those, so.
yeah. So the last little bit of reorganization to address is chairperson. Elaine, you were chairman in 2013. I was chairman in 2014. The chairman for the commission really has no additional authority or power. We're each 1/3 of this commission. So of all the work that needs to be done, ideally, we should each be doing 1/3 of it. The only thing additional the chairman does is they are responsible for the mail because we present it. We need to go through it, know what it is. Any guests or experts that come to a meeting, we need to know who they are, why they're coming, so that we can direct that conversation appropriately. Following county policies, that's already a matter of vote by this commission. Robert's Rules of Order, we already follow. One thing with the commission chairman, anything that goes wrong, we take the blame. Anything that goes right, we share the credit. Like I said, it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So, I wanted to just address some of the good things that we were able to accomplish in the last couple of years. Big one is ending use it or lose it. Anybody who's ever worked in government knows what a waste use it or lose it is. At the end of a fiscal year, departments start spending their money so that they don't show they use less and get their budgets cut. It is absolutely the most wasteful way to operate government. We ended that. It's very significant. We had a report from our solid waste supervisor about a year ago, and he reported a savings due to new management and recycling savings of $90,000. That's significant to the citizens. When I first started on this commission, there was talk of raising the solid waste fees because they hadn't been addressed in 12 years. Well, now it's 12+ years, and there's no more talk of raising those fees. That's an incredibly strong budget. When we hired our maintenance supervisor, we never hired somebody to do vacuuming and dusting. We hired somebody to marry themselves to these old county buildings, to take ownership. Today, we have a maintenance supervisor who has gotten training. He has experience in contracting. He has taken lessons on how to work on the elevators, generators, and heating system, things we used to contract out before. At one meeting, he reported a $36,000 savings on upgrading the energy use of these old buildings. Also, significant savings.
I think you need to address what he's accomplished next door.
Oh, the detention center, it used to be that contracting would be done to address the reworking and the supervising the lock system for detention centers. It's incredibly comprehensive. Mike does that now. Walls were needed to be built so that we could accommodate more female prisoners, which keeps our detention center full, which keeps it making money. Mike knows rather than contract. He uses detention center inmates for his help from time to time. He has been incredible at the new food system. He installed that, installed a new refrigerator for that, a process that's going to save about $27,000 a year for citizens for the detention center alone. Also, a couple of years ago, we went on a tour of the detention center, and there were more detention center officers than inmates. A new detention center administrator was brought in. Back then, we had a $350,000 anchor on the budget for Broadwater County. That was a liability to our taxpayers. Last year, with the new administrator, that detention center alone realized over $200,000 in surplus. Quite a turnaround. Also significant. So, to my fellow commissioners, thank you. It's been a great year. We do have a progression that we follow, and each year a different commissioner takes that chairmanship. This year it is Franklin's turn for 2015 to serve as chairman. With your support, I will pass you the gavel and make a motion to that effect.
I'm not gonna make the motion.
No, I just want to make sure you're in
Oh.
support.
She needed your support.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, so I will move that we pass the gavel and the commission chairmanship to Franklin. All those, we need a second.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I didn't hear an aye, but I assume it was there. And vice chairman, in 2016, you'll be Chairman Elaine. So I will move that we elect you vice chairman of this commission.
Thank you.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to elect Elaine vice chairman. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Oh,
motion carries. All right, so with that, here's the gavel. Pass that down. I have been through the claims. I did not initial those. These are not things that we only address at the beginning of the year. Every single thing we've addressed so far this morning can be addressed at any time during the year. It's just a good idea to be in a habit. So we start with the first of the year, and we have in the Mako newsletter 2015 New Year's resolutions. So that's what we do, and it's just a good reminder. So with that, Franklin, the meeting is yours.
Okay, I guess we start off with time for first appointment with Dana.
Morning, Dana.
How are you? Good, how are you? Good. Well, I don't have a whole lot going. We got snow plowing a little bit today. There's not a lot of snow out there. The last few weeks hasn't been real, snowy. We had some wind stuff up in Winston here last week that was kind of major, but other than that, it wasn't bad. Ross Gulch hasn't been bad at all this year, so.
That's a switch.
Yeah, it's been good. Anyway, I got a few equipment issues. I got our 936 loader here a couple weeks ago. We had some antifreeze getting into the oil. Took it into Helena, and they ended up looking at it. Their compressor's leaking oil or antifreeze. It's cooled with antifreeze, so they're got some antifreeze leaking through that, plus the water pump. And anyway, they're getting that taken care of now. While they had the oil pan off, I just had to go ahead and replace the main bearings and rods. At least get that part of it done anyway. It was gonna be $1,200-1,500, but not too bad as long as it was there anyway.
Yeah.
So it's been a good loader. Haven't had any major issues with it. So in fact, the guy asked me, my mechanic asked me what we wanted to do with it. I said, we might as well fix it. I said, I'm not gonna throw it away. So anyway, it's a little less expensive than what I thought it was gonna be. Mark's dump truck in there, we got some new injectors going into that. It's been kind of smoking on us quite a bit here lately, but Doing that, new brakes. Mark called me this morning, top of Ross Gulch, his grader has got an injector problem, so he's gonna try to finish up and get that back in. And I've got a hold of the mechanic and see if he can,
So when that happens, how does it act?
just misses,
Oh, okay.
lack power, so. and I'm not
Sorry
sure.
for being stupid, but I,
Well, yeah, it's just like when your spark plug's missing or something, so. But anyway, I'm sure it's just another injector, which I think it's still in a warranty anyway, so hopefully that'll get taken care of soon. Other than that, that's about all I got. Everything else is looking pretty good.
How many trucks you got the plows on?
Yeah, we just got one
Just
plow
one.
truck,
Okay.
yeah, with sander on it.
Mhm.
And normally I just do the pavement stuff with that when I need to. You know. And you usually get that covered pretty good, half a day or so. Other than that, we just run the graders on everything.
But you still got the plows for the other trucks too, don't you?
I got a plow for one
Did you?
truck.
At one time, did you use all three of them?
Well, we did when we had different trucks. We had an international truck and we had the Bruin, and then we had the Ford, and we had plows on all three of those, but we quit running them on dirt roads because we were knocking the blades off of them. Bolts kept loosening up on the blades and then the blades would fall off and you'd spend more time back here putting bolts in, and so we just quit running them. I know some of them plows we got rid of.
Is that the type of plows that's causing the thing, or?
It's just the dirt roads. You know, them plow trucks, they're basically made for pavement, that's about it. You know, I know there's counties that run them on dirt roads, but
That's what I was wondering, if it's just the difference in the plows or something.
well, it could be, you know, and I just don't know that. Cause like I said, I know there's guys that run, counties that run them on dirt roads, but, you know, we found we could just run them, you know, run graders on them. Do just as good and quicker job anyway, so. Some of this stuff you get up high, you know, well, like Winston, you never get through that with a truck.
Right, yeah. This is something really storm like now, there's just drips here and there,
Yeah.
like I saw, that was you in the truck, I think.
Well, it was, you know, and that's when I went down to Three Forks. I went down, that was Tuesday. And then, see, Monday I drove down there early because I knew there was some snow down there just to see what kind of drifts were there, you know, and I thought, well, just a couple that are there, I might be able to knock them off with the truck, you know, and I mean, you can do it if they're not very long,
Yeah.
but it's, you know, you get on some of these areas, it's tough to, you know, that, when you hit that drifts, it just throws that truck sideways, you know. Where later it doesn't do that, but.
what's the worst road at Winston? Quarter Circle?
Quarter Circle, Beaver Creek. Beaver Creek's from the bar down to, just about down to John Mazzola's down there, usually gets pretty deep.
Mhm.
There was a couple feet in there, 2-3 feet there last week. Couple spots. And then Filson Hill, there's a hill that comes down, be east of Cox Lane. Comes down into that bottom there, it was
Got a big
about-
area to blow from.
Yeah, it was about 5-6 feet deep. As long as you're going downhill, it's not too bad.
Get a run at it.
A little bit. Yeah. And from my understanding, oh, isn't it too? From my understanding, I talked to BSE a little bit. I think they're getting a bigger crusher too.
Oh.
GSE is,
Yeah, they got that small one, you know, it took them all summer to do what I needed them to do, you know, and they're still actually down in Three Forks. They had to come back and rebuild it, went back down. That Schofield pit we're in right now, the guy that owns the pit, he wanted them to do some while they were down there. So anyway, they were down there doing that, and in the meantime, I talked to Brandon, and he said they were looking into buying a bigger crusher, so. You know, we get things whipped out a little quicker. He's thinking he's got a use for it, so
Mhm.
that'd be good.
those boys come a long way from what they started with.
Yeah, as long as the banker keeps talking to them, I guess it'd be okay. That's what Brandon was saying anyway. So anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah, on the rod, they're out there, those excavators, 2 feet of rod, they just keep it going.
Oh, I know.
I mean, it's hard on equipment.
Yeah, well, I know they're out here on, Sand Hill out there doing that stuff for Andy Bruce right now. He bought that chunk of ground across there, so they're out there just digging away. I think they got most of it done,
Hmm.
so.
Hey Dana, the grader that has the injector problem, is that the oldest of the three?
No, that's actually the newest one,
Really?
yeah.
No longer under warranty, I wouldn't imagine.
I think it is still under warranty. I think this is probably last year,
Okay, all right, good to know.
yeah. But everything else has no warranty. Down the road, we're gonna have to do something. And that's, that's where our SRS money came in good when we were getting those 4 years, 5 years, that big SRS money. And that's what I bought it with. They're expensive. $300,000, so.
Yeah,
Down the road in the next few years, we're looking at doing something.
You're gonna have to.
And I've actually, I hung on to that 96 cat we've got, the one that I've had ever since it's been, we bought it in 96. It's a good spare grader, and I suppose if we did something, we'd probably get rid of that one and maybe
Keep the newer.
keep the John Deere. It's an 05. Maybe trade that 96 off on something, upgrade that. That one, but it's always nice to have a spare. We don't have to, but if something happens to one of these other ones, and we've got work to do, it's pretty nice. And that was the main thought on this whole grader situation. And then my other thought on the grader situation was if we would have kept getting the SRS money, we could jump into that guaranteed buyback, which I put on both cats. And it's a good deal if you use it, see, and we haven't used it. Now it's too late, especially on TJ's grader. It's too late on that one where, I think Mark's still got a $200,000 or $215,000 guaranteed buyback at 3 years. But it'll be 5 years, and every year after 3 it starts going down, so I'm not sure what it's sitting at right now, but anyway. But you gotta work on them. I mean, if you use them, you're gonna break them, and that's all there is to it. So, try to keep them up best we can. Do a lot of preventive maintenance.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So, but we run them hard. Get done what we get done. Go from there, so. Okay?
thank you.
Good enough.
Thanks, Dana.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
You too.
$10.45 or an extra one, I guess, also. Is there any, this is the mail here, or what's this here?
Claims, I
Oh,
think.
these are all the claims.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other?
Is there mail?
We finished the mail.
That way through it. Okay, well, I guess I'll do.
Hurry up and wait.
What's that?
Hurry up and wait.
Right, there was a, so that's so that Robertson subdivision have heard anything going on for the year. Take it.
Pardon me?
Haven't heard anything, they're not gonna be here.
I think we did.
Who's that?
We did the cancellations.
No, we do have one extra. Corey Swanson is gonna come see us at 11:45. Just kind of give us an introduction and a welcome, and let us welcome him.
Oh, we've got her till another 7 minutes or so. Is there anything else we need to go through?
Franklin, I believe you have to initiate the claims now as chairman. The claims.
Right. What about now?
You
Yeah,
have
I
to
have to-
initial them.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The top one, Tammy had a question. There is no invoice from the people that we need to pay, and she needs that for her records. So I would like to put that back to the county attorney's office and just ask that we get the invoice from those folks.
That's this one here? Okay.
One thing I have, since we have a couple extra minutes, is just some of the tabled information from last week. One is the insurance, Teamsters insurance that we have. Carla sent an email to us, and in it she said that she spoke with Noel, and Noel said that they understood our need for a little bit more time to iron out some of these issues that came up. But in the meantime, that we should go ahead and pay the lesser amount, which is $10,767.16. And then go ahead and do what we need to do and get back to them. We also need an engagement letter that states that this will cover anything from 2013 and 14. So when Corey comes to talk to us, if we're in agreement, I think that would be a good thing to do, follow through on that.
Okay.
Did they say anything about requiring everybody? No.
That's what we need to work on.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing is the financing for the building project. Every time any subject is brought to this commission and we haven't done our homework to be ready for it, and we table it because we didn't do our homework, it is a waste of county money. We are asking people to be here, we're asking people to come and sit in on these meetings, and we table it. That's people not doing the jobs they're supposed to be, or other jobs that they're supposed to be. So I did forward the email again from Julie Flynn on the intercap. Is that something that we can bring forward and have an agreement on, so that there isn't a question mark for Mike getting work done? Especially with them having a deadline in February, we need to have a resolution and then present it to them.
I think the intercap is the way to go. It is the most reasonable. I don't think you're gonna find anything out there to beat it. Nothing.
And I thought what John Potter said made a lot of sense. You know, it's lower than the interest we can get on the money. Why not make higher interest? What we have is an option for a 1% loan for only the cost of the building project we're looking at, which is a new building facility for search and rescue, weed, mosquito, and extension. It includes vehicle and equipment storage that needs to be kept at a particular temperature. It addresses some of the needs with some of the issues we have that are in non-compliance or just not working. Our search and rescue building doors right now freeze shut, which can be a problem when you have an emergency. We also have a shower facility which is required for working with chemical. So that's what this is for. Intercap is a 1% loan offered to local governments. So,
And like I said, I know that the transfer station was done with the intercap one,
yeah.
so we have used them before.
So I will move that we follow through on that and put together the resolution so that we can get our application in and get approved with this go-around.
I'll second that motion.
It's moved and second to finalize the resolution on, or applying for this ICAP. Any more discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
It's moved and passed. If we go ahead and apply for the application for this ICAP loan.
How did you vote? When I couldn't hear you.
Oh, yeah, well, I look forward to it. vacation.
Public comment? Roger Halbert. Good move. I'm kind of a news junkie, and since my degree's in finance, I follow that sector. And from all indications I'm seeing out there in the news, the financial news, the super low interest rates, the zero interest rates that the banks are getting from the Federal Reserve, it's got to come to an end here real soon. The market's beginning to get real jittery about it too. So if you can get 1% money now, go for it. That's almost free.
Yeah, it is. I just wish I could get the ranch in on that too.
Yeah.
You wanna check and see if Cory can come in now?
Actually, it's
Just a couple
time for
minutes.
Nicole.
What's that?
It's actually time for Nicole right now.
Oh, that's right, that's on the subdivision. I guess you'd check it.
I imagine she'll be here in a minute.
Nicole, see if she's
Okay.
on the line. She didn't answer, so I'm assuming she's on her way up.
And this clock is a couple minutes fast.
There's two here.
Just send more for this.
Yes. Thank you.
This is all
This
things
one
for me.
is.
My phone keeps buzzing.
Mhm.
While we're waiting, one other thing, I contacted, was contacted actually by a citizen and then also followed through on it. There's interest in getting our traveling meetings going again that we voted on and approved, boy, about a year ago. We've had a few. Are you guys opposed at all to having some of those start up again here in January on the southern end of the county?
I think if the people are wanting it, and they obviously do, I think we owe it to them to do that.
All right, I will continue doing some homework on that and report back next
I think
week.
you're missing this one.
And Tim Gavin is going to get us a new flag, and has been working with Mike on that. Mike reorders a flag every March, and just didn't last very well this year at all. So thank you very
The
much.
wind.
Yeah.
He's stuck in Nebraska.
Oh,
He called me last night, because we usually have a meeting today, so we decided to cancel it anyway, because we didn't know what the weather was gonna be like.
yeah, it's a tough place to be stuck.
Sounds to me like so is Chicago.
Yeah, again.
I'm glad we don't get the kind of weather that those guys out here.
Midwest, just keep getting one after another.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the Northeast does too.
Yeah.
This is the only other order of business I'll let you give to Franklin.
Nicole, come on up.
Sorry.
Come on, right
Stick
there.
answering the phone
Oh.
earlier, so I got stuck on the phone, sorry. So first is the subdivision, is that correct? Okay. So I have a rear yard preliminary plat here. Sorry. There's space. You have the findings of fact. You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, now where's this one at?
This is off of Pilsen Road, just north of Winston.
Just on Wilson Road itself.
It is, correct. Yes, before it turns to Beaver Creek. And what this is the existing large piece of property here. CX Ranch runs right here. Neighbors, Blazer, and Yaker used to be Robertson's, I believe. Randy Polly.
Excuse me, could you speak a little
Oh,
louder?
yeah, I'm sorry. In any case, so this is the piece in its entirety right here. The father owns the whole piece of property. The daughter wanted to build on the 4 acres, but since it's already an existing subdivision, they're having to subdivide it for the daughter and her husband now to own this. So basically, it'll be one family living on there, mother, father, daughter, and her new husband, but they have to subdivide, they can't use the family transfer exemption. So they're going through this process. There's a couple of existing water bodies on there, there's a pond here, the father and the mother have a house here, their drain field, everything has all been installed. On this parcel here, there's a shop, a well, and no drain field yet. They're going through DEQ to get the approval. There's a drainage ditch that starts over here, well, I'm sure it starts even further south, but then runs across the property north this way. Antelope Creek runs along the top of the property here. This is pretty excessive slope in this area right here.
It is or is
It
not?
is. It is. There's also another creek that runs right here. So there's quite a bit of water that runs across the property, however, it's not in the floodplain. It has flooded in the past, in fact, just this last spring, but it's not in the floodplain, so. And these folks in particular have been living there. These folks, have been visiting this piece of property and have witnessed the flooding, so, hopefully they just, prepare themselves for that. But since it's not in the floodplain, there's nothing the county can do to tell them they can't build there.
And they haven't applied for the permit yet on the drain field?
They are in the process right now. They're doing it at the same time as going through the county process. They're applying to DEQ for DEQ approval. They've also requested a variance for providing topographic information. They did provide the USGS topo map, but not specifically for this piece of property. They just said, you know, it was just too
That's
expensive.
just 4 acre you're talking about.
Well, they would actually have to provide a topo map for the entire piece of property, for the, what is it, 42, I think it's 42.42 acres in its entirety, because it is a 2-lot minor subdivision. We don't do remainders in subdivision. So this is a 2-lot minor subdivision. But they said it would just be too cost prohibitive to do topography on the entire parcel. So we held a public hearing, that's the planning board held a public hearing, and at their planning board meeting, they voted to grant them, or to recommend that this commission grants them the variance with the addition of a condition that they would show areas in excess of 15% slope as no-build areas. So then at least they could just topo this area that we know is very steep, without having specific topography shot on the property. We don't know if it's in excess of 15%, but even though they aren't planning on building any additional homes or units of any sort, any structures on this property, I think it's wise that condition was added. So before the commission makes a motion today, you need to determine whether or not you will grant the variance to not providing topography.
I think as long as the planning board reviewed everything, I feel it was their decision.
And there were no public comments at the planning board public hearing also, just so you're aware. The only folks in attendance were the husband on this property and the father of this property. So, and they were for it.
I'll be done.
Right, yeah. So if you'd like, I can read over the findings of fact, or I can simply just read over the conditions.
Maybe just the condition.
Okay, I think I gave you a rough outline of what the findings of fact, the staff report actually would say anyway, as far as the land use. No critical areas of wildlife habitat or anything of that nature on the property. You know, they have had deer, elk, game birds, you know, some small animals, fox, gophers, things of that nature on the property, but nothing, you know, there's no critical areas of wildlife habitat on the property. So there is some nicely forested area right about in here that they intend to leave as is, which is neither here nor there, but I think is nice. So,
Probably Quick and Aspen, Cottonwood, I suppose.
you know, you would think Quick and Aspen with all of the water
Yeah.
there, that shallow water system, but, you know, I'm not sure exactly what kind of tree.
Oh,
All right, so I want to apologize, I didn't number these pages, but third from the last page of your packet there is where the conditions start, and I'll read these aloud.
Actually,
Okay.
Nicole, since we do have public here, and it has been the practice of the commission for all subdivisions, to read the whole findings of fact, I'd like to request that we continue with that.
I have to agree.
Do you mind if I skip over, this first page is simply the legal
Yes,
portion
that's
of it
fine.
and just the order, okay. It's a little dry, that first page. All right, so this is the findings of fact report for lot A2, A1 of the amended Robertson Minor Subdivision, a subsequent minor subdivision preliminary plat dated May 14th, 2014, to the Broadwater County Planning Board from Nicole Brown, Broadwater County Planner. The subject is a proposed subsequent minor subdivision preliminary plat to be known as Lot A2, A1 of the amended Robertson Minor Subdivision. Public hearing was held on December 18th, 2014. The applicant is Robert Anderson of Helena, Montana. The applicant's representative is Danielle Van Duyn, who's his daughter. She's also of Helena, Montana. The proposed subdivision is located approximately 2 miles north of Winston, Montana, off of Filson Road, Broadwater County, Montana. Proposal. The applicant proposes to develop 2 lots from an existing 42.22 acre parcel of land Both lots are proposed as residential single-family lots. The two residential lots have existing structures on them and are currently served by individual wells. Lot A2A1B has and that's the larger parcel, has an existing wastewater treatment system. The minimum lot size is 4 acres and the maximum lot size is 38.22 acres. Access to the proposed lots will be off of Filson Road, which is a county road. The required preliminary review fee of $1,960 has been paid and includes the weed inspection. The proposed subdivision is a subsequent minor subdivision and an environmental assessment was prepared. This subdivision is part of the previously approved minor subdivision, Robertson Minor Subdivision. Lot A2A1B currently has a residence built upon it and sanitary facilities have been installed. Lot A2A1A has a shop constructed on it with a well, but no wastewater treatment system. The applicants are not proposing covenants for the subdivision and there are no existing covenants. A variance request for the providing of a topographic map of the property was received from the applicant's representative. A copy of this request is included in the preliminary plat application. According to the Broadwater County Sanitarian, there's an existing well which was drilled on February 19, 2014, and approved pressure dose shallow capped wastewater treatment system on lot A2A1B. The permit number is 14-31 and the system was installed on September 25, 2014. An engineered elevated sand mound system designed by Shedhorn Engineering LLC is proposed for lot A2A1A. It also has an existing well which was drilled on February 19, 2014. Both wells provide an adequate water supply of 30 gallons per minute. Chemical analyses of one of the wells shows that nitrate plus nitrites and specific conductivity are low, which indicate good water quality. To date, a signed and approved fire plan has not been received. Included in the preliminary plat application, item number 23, is a letter from the applicant's representative which states that the developer would prefer the Broadwater County Rural Fire Department instruct them on what should be done for fire protection. Review is performed pursuant to Montana Subdivision and Plating Act, section 76.3101 through 76.3614 Montana Code Annotated, and the Broadwater County Subdivision Regulations. The proposed preliminary plat, lot A2A1 of the amended Robertson Minor Subdivision, as submitted by the applicant, together with the required supplementary plans and information, appear to satisfy the requirements of these regulations and the Broadwater County Growth Policy Plan dated July 2010. A preliminary plat, vicinity map, flood hazard boundary map, and lot layout of the proposed subdivision has been provided. The proposed subdivision is in an area subject to flooding, however, it is not within the designated FEMA floodplain. There are areas that have steep slopes along the north boundary of lot A2A1B. There are 2 drainage ditches that traverse the property. One drainage runs along the eastern boundary of lot A2A1A, and the second one runs along the southern portion of lot A2A1B. There are also 2 creeks present on the property. Both of them are located on lot A2A1B. Beaver Creek runs along the eastern boundary, and Antelope Creek runs along the northern portion of the property. Both lots proposed currently utilize individual wells, and lot A2A1B has an existing individual wastewater treatment system. Since the proposed lot A2A1A will be less than 20 acres, it will be necessary for this parcel to obtain DEQ approval prior to final plat approval. The Montana Department of Environmental Quality, under the Sanitation and Subdivisions Act, will review the adequacy and impact one on-site wastewater treatment system will have on groundwater quality. DEQ will issue a determination of non-significant impacts in a certificate of subdivision approval, which must be presented to the county for recordation of the final plat. Lot owners will be responsible for disposal of their own solid waste. Subdivision residents will have the option of hiring an independent contractor to pick up their solid waste or transport it themselves to the Winston Canister site, approximately 5 driving miles southwest of the proposed subdivision. The proposed subdivision is currently residential property. Based on the information provided, the subdivision will not have an effect on agricultural productivity, as no acreage will be removed from the production of crops or livestock. The land is currently utilized by 1 single-family residence and an existing shop. There are no proposed changes in use. The applicant indicates that the land is compatible with surrounding uses since this is a relatively large parcel. The proposed subdivision does not present interference with agricultural operations in the vicinity. The responsibility to control noxious weeds will be the developer's until it is turned over to any subsequent homeowners. An environmental assessment was prepared for the lot A2A1 of the amended Robertson Minor Subdivision. No hazards such as falls, slides, or slumps are indicated on the plat. There is no known active seismic activity. No geological conditions which might affect the development, such as areas of bedrock or unsuitable soils, were identified within the proposed subdivision. The proposed subdivision is not within a 100-year floodplain. However, the property has been known to flood in the past. There are some forested areas on the property. The property is mostly native grasses and some nuisance and noxious weeds. The applicant indicates in the weed plan that they will spot, spray, and pull the existing weeds. The county weed coordinator has not conducted a site inspection, but it will be done prior to final plat approval. The applicant is responsible for ensuring noxious weeds are controlled in the subdivision until the responsibility is turned over to any subsequent owners. According to the preliminary plat application, mule deer, white-tailed deer, beaver, waterfowl, and coyote have all been seen on the property. The effects on wildlife should be minimal since there is only one new home being added to this property. A letter was sent to the Montana Historical Society to determine if there are known historical, archaeological, or cultural sites which may be affected by the proposed subdivision. A response letter dated July 15, 2014 was received from Damon Murdo, Cultural Records Manager of MHS, stating that there have been no previously recorded sites within the designated search locale. However, should cultural resource be inadvertently discovered during this project, the developer will contact the Office of the State Historic Preservation Office. There are no new roads proposed for the Lot A2, A1 of the amended Robertson Minor subdivision. The applicant will continue utilizing the two accesses onto Filson Road, which is a county road. According to the Broadwater County Growth Policy Plan, the two lots will generate 16 vehicle trips per day. Utilities are in place and being utilized by both homes, and that should say structures because one's a home and one's a shop. Utilities are in place and being utilized by both structures on this parcel. The Broadwater County Sheriff's Department will provide law enforcement and is located approximately 19 miles southeast of the proposed subdivision. A letter was sent to the Broadwater County Sheriff's Department, and to date no response has been received. The Broadwater Health Center, located in Townsend, will provide both ambulance and emergency medical services and is located approximately 19 miles from the proposed subdivision. A letter was sent to the Broadwater Health Center, but to date no response has been received. The proposed subdivision is served by the Townsend schools. Based on the Broadwater County growth policy, this subdivision could produce 1 to 3 new students. The effect on the school system should be minimal since the proposed subdivision is only adding 1 additional home. The letter was sent to the superintendent of schools, and per the response included in the preliminary plat application as item number 23, the school does not have any concerns regarding this proposed development. Lands to the north are agricultural, and to the east, west, and south are larger parcels with residences. The effect on land use should be minimal since the proposed subdivision is creating 2 parcels with 1 additional home. The potential hazards are the seasonal ditches and pond, as well as the 2 creeks located on the property. Parkland is not required for the proposed Lot A2, A1 of the amended Robertson Minor subdivision. It is hereby ordered that the preliminary plat for the Lot A2, A1 amended Robertson Minor subdivision is approved, subject to the conditions below. Final plat approval shall be contingent upon completion and compliance with these conditions. Number 1, plans for sewage treatment and water supply shall be submitted to the Montana Department of Environmental Quality for review and approval of Lot A2, A1A. The certificate of subdivision approval shall be filed with the final plat. Number 2, prior to any development and/or soil disturbance, a weed management plan for the proposed development shall be submitted to the County Weed District for review and approval. Number 3, the applicant will be required to submit the preliminary plat and final plat drawings in electronic format to Broadwater County in ArcGIS, AutoCAD, or MicroStation format. Additional materials may be requested by the county in electronic format to facilitate review of application materials. Number 4, the applicant and the Fire Protection Authority having jurisdiction shall use their best efforts to draft a fire protection plan specifically for this subdivision, in accordance with the Broadwater County subdivision regulations. The plan shall be equally acceptable to the FPHJ, the applicant, and the county governing authority. The plan shall adequately address the fire risk analysis, all findings of fact, and appropriate mitigation measures. In the event the parties are unable to come to agreement by the final plat submittal, the applicant shall become eligible to provide the per lot cash in lieu fee for water supply as may be defined in the Broadwater County subdivision regulations in effect at the time of submittal. Number 5, any areas in excess of 15% slope shall be designated as no-build areas on the final plat. Number 6, the final plat shall be prepared in accordance with the applicable state survey requirements, Montana Subdivision and Plating Act survey requirements, and the county subdivision regulations. Number 7, the book and page reference to the restrictive covenants filed with the county clerk and recorder shall be indicated on the face of the final plat. In addition, restrictive covenants, revocable or alterable, only with the consent of the Board of County Commissioners, shall be placed upon the property and shall provide for the following. A, notification of the potential health risk from radon concentrations and that such risk can be evaluated through soil tests and mitigated through radon abatement techniques incorporated into structures. B, a notification that all dwelling units within the subdivision shall be constructed to specifications which meet or exceed equivalent provisions in the applicable state building code for this seismic zone, which is zone 3. C, a notification that lots in this subdivision may be subject to impact fees if in place prior to lot sales. D, any additional replacement or relocated utility lines shall be installed underground in accordance with county subdivision regulations unless otherwise determined by the utility provided. E, any exterior lighting shall be directed downward to minimize visibility beyond the property line. F, a waiver of the right to protest to join a special district for the purpose of providing community water and/or wastewater treatment system improvements and/or maintenance. G, a restrictive covenant binding the landowner, any heirs, successors, and assigns, and all future owners of property within the subdivision, agreeing therein to hold Broadwater County harmless and indemnify Broadwater County from all claims, demands, obligations, suits, causes of action, damages, and liability, including the county's costs and attorney's fees arising in any manner whatsoever out of or relating to the existence, use, operation, repair, and/or maintenance of the following. Subitem 1, earthquake fault zone and any seismic activity, and subitem 2, water availability. H, notification of the presence of agricultural operations in the vicinity. I, each lot shall be maintained in a clean, attractive, and weed-free manner. Noxious weeds must be pulled, sprayed, or cut prior to seed maturity. J, a prohibition of the storage of foods, garbage, or other activities that creates an attractive nuisance for wildlife species. Hay or alfalfa storage and feeding are not prohibited where livestock are permitted. K, all cats and dogs must be restrained, penned, or otherwise under the control of their owner at all times. L, address numbers shall be clearly marked at the driveway entrance to each lot and be easily identified from the road. M, a waiver of the right to protest joining a rural improvement or maintenance district for the purpose of road maintenance, mosquito control, or equitably funding parks and maintenance of parks. 8, prior to filing the final plat, the following improvements shall be installed or otherwise guaranteed. A, any necessary improvements required by the stormwater drainage plan, weed management plan, or approach permits. If said improvements are not installed prior to final plat approval, then the applicant shall enter into a written subdivision improvements agreement with Broadwater County, guaranteeing the construction and installation of such improvements and shall provide an acceptable financial security guarantee in accordance with county subdivision regulations. Number 9, prior to filing the final plat, the applicant shall A, provide proof that all taxes and special assessments assessed and levied on the property are paid for the current tax year, including any past delinquencies. And B, provide documentation, an abstract of title or plating certificate, showing that the applicant is the lawful owner of the property with the apparent authority to subdivide the same, showing the names of lien holders or claimants of record and the written consent to the subdivision by the owners of the land, if other than the applicant, and any lien holders or claimants of record against the land. The applicant is financially responsible for actual outside engineering, consulting, professional and/or contracted service fees, etc., at the sole discretion of the county for additional review and/or final plat approval of the proposed subdivision. Preliminary plat approval of the Lot A2, A1 of the amended Robertson Minor subdivision shall be enforced for 3 calendar years. At the end of this period, the governing body may, at the request of the subdivider, extend its approval for a mutually agreed upon period of time. Any mutually agreed upon extension must be in writing and dated and signed by the members of, you don't have this last page, I'm sorry, the governing body and the subdivider or subdivider's agent. The governing body may issue more than one extension. A party is defined by 763625 MCA who is aggrieved by a decision of the governing body may, within 30 days after this decision, appeal to the Broadwater County District Court. And if you want to see this last page, I can certainly give you a copy. I wasn't sure who was chairperson, so I printed out 3 ways. But that has the language on there if you choose to read it.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Who lives on this one?
Robert Anderson.
Why is his address Highway 12 West?
You know, I'm not sure of that. I think that, well, I know he has a business there
Oh, okay.
on Highway 12 West. Because I stopped there to pick up some materials from him.
Okay.
But I'm not sure that they're not living here full-time right now, is my understanding.
I just.
As far as he just has his business on the address. Yeah.
City of here.
But it is his home. The address is assigned to him.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or discussion?
The variance, Nicole, it's just for the 38 acres, not the 4 acres, right?
No, it was for the entire property.
Okay.
They chose, well, they wished to not have to. And I have a copy of the variance letter here if you wish to read it. There's several copies.
Are there any 15% grades on the 4 acres?
I'm sure there's not. I'm just by looking at topography. I'm sure there's not, and in fact, I can show you the topography map from the USGS. So go here. This is large, I've got it, but you can see in here, I don't know, I don't mean to speak kindergarten to you, but I'm not sure if you know how to read a topo map. Where the lines are closer together, that's where it's more steep, where you see these large gaps in lines, that's generally because it's flat. So just by looking at this, you can tell that it may be in excess of 15% here, not a chance here.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Do you want me to read this variance request letter aloud?
Yes,
Do we
please.
have it here? Okay. So this is dated October 29th, 2014. Broadwater County Commissioners, I am requesting a variance from providing a topographic map that identifies lot and/or tracts with the approximate dimensions and/or acreage with the contour intervals of 2 feet where the average slope is less than 10%, intervals of 5 feet where the average slope is greater than 10% and less than 15%, and intervals of 10 feet where the average slope is 15% or greater. Instead, I am providing the USGS topography map of the property. I am requesting a variance due to the fact that it would be cost prohibitive to perform a topography survey, therefore personally affecting me. As shown on the provided plat, the existing structures are established within areas that do not have excessive slopes greater than 10%. Best regards, Danielle Van Dewitt.
That's what the plan.
Recommended with the addition, they added that condition of areas of 15%.
No buildings on it. Okay, common sense. Any other? Something here to say?
I'll make a motion to grant approval.
I will second the motion, and I do have a question, but I'm not calling for the question. As far as the flooding, the mentions in here regarding the flooding and the under geology where it says the property has been known to flood in the past, that is sufficient to protect the county in the case of flooding. I know it's not in the floodplain, but I also know what happened in Missoula. That's the best we can do, isn't it?
Right, yep,
Okay.
I think it's noted twice in here, made mention of twice, that the property has been known to flood. Not really anything else the county can do,
But we've mentioned it,
but we've mentioned
so
it, this is
there's
going
no
to
way
be
to
a
say we
record.
didn't know.
Yep,
And reading it publicly like this, it's also going to be in the record.
correct.
Okay. Should we actually be approving the variance first and then approving the subdivision?
That's generally, the way to go about this,
Makes sense.
Any motion for the variance?
the variance, correct.
Change your motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant approval to the variance.
We should actually rescind the first motion and then have a new motion. And as you made the motion, you have to
The
rescind
first
it.
one wasn't seconded, so.
Yes, I seconded it, so we can have conversation.
Why didn't you second?
Yeah, she did. I'll rescind my first motion.
And I don't know if that has to be seconded, but I'll second just in case.
Okay, second, you said, Lane, rescind your first motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Now, we'll make it.
Now I'll make a motion. We grant approval to the variance for the Robertson property.
And I will second that.
You're moving second. All in favor?
Aye.
You passed it. Variance is 1790. A motion for the preliminary plot, right?
Correct, for preliminary plat approval.
Somebody will entertain that motion.
Would you like to again, or would you like me to?
Go for it.
Preference? All right, I will move that we grant preliminary plat approval to Robert Anderson for lot A2, A1 of the amended Robertson minor subdivision.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the preliminary plot. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed.
I did one. Or all.
There'll be plenty of opportunities.
you sign that one for me, please?
Go.
Have him sign as well, please.
That's pretty country in there.
It is pretty, yeah.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else, Nicole?
Not on this topic. I think I've got, am I past my time? I just don't know, I just know that one rolled into the other. For
We're
boards.
into the time of the other.
So I have nothing further on this issue.
Okay. Board appointments and CLS.
Good for time to go ahead with boards? Okay. Each of these here, being that this is my first time doing this, I'm not sure
Thank
I'm
you.
going about this correctly, but, certainly will let me know. Hopefully they'll let me know. Debbie has been out of the office today as well, I tried to coordinate with her, but, so what I did for all of the boards for the county, this was quite a project. There's a stack of files that I think go back to the beginning of time, for each board. And so I had a very old spreadsheet that Debbie had emailed me. And I went through each of the board packets to find where these extensions of time or expirations or new board appointments had been made. I'm 99% confident that everything in here is exactly as it is. Just, I can't be 100% because I'm human, and I'm not perfect. But, so I just want to point out in here, the yellow highlighted items are folks whose term has expired. Blue are folks whose term has expired but have expressed letters of interest to continue on the board. So I know there's a lot of yellow. However, some of these, well, you know, rural fire, that will be easy to collect, really isn't relevant to what we're doing as far as keeping boards current, because I know that the elected rural fire board, I know that they're on top of this. I just need to get with Doug. I believe it's Doug who I would need to get with and find out exactly who are on these boards. The same with the elected hospital district. So these elected boards are not really going to amount to a whole lot. The rest of them, I'm wondering, is it my responsibility to send letters to these folks and ask them if they wish to continue? Or do I contact a point person on here? I'm not sure what's been previous practice, and I don't wanna break practice.
And why reinvent the wheel?
Exactly.
Past practice has been, it's a whole lot easier on you to contact the chairman of those particular boards and let them contact their members.
Okay,
Some of your chairmen will actually put together a form letter for people to go ahead and read, approve, and sign.
okay,
Those are your very, very efficient chair people. Others will just call their members or make a statement at a meeting. These people's terms are up. If you want to be on again, send a letter to the county.
okay,
So
So you
maybe these are
contact
on
the
you.
chair.
the chair,
So you can-
okay.
Wait till we hear back. Or
Okay.
you hear back.
So I will contact those people then and find out, okay. I had a couple of questions on some of these members, if you don't mind if I can go over them. On the airport board, I understand that Bob Hollister is the chairman. I asked him who were members on his board, and the question mark on the Steve, he didn't know Steve's last name. I could find no information on Steve in the file. So Steve is this unknown person that the chairperson wasn't even sure of the last name of. I can't find any record of Steve ever having been appointed to the board, so I'm stumped there. I did let him know that Al Irvin's term was up, but I need more information on Steve. Do any of you know who Steve is? Or where this is coming from, or?
I know Steve, I've been attending those meetings, I would be happy to attend the next one. I don't know his last name, it starts with an M. But I will go to the next meeting and address this with this gentleman if you'd like.
Okay, perfect. I hate to have this thing hanging out there, and I think we need to have a formal letter, obviously, from the commission, and once they send in their letter, then I would write a letter to them, or would I come back here to the commission and you would approve these appointments, or do you approve them now if, with the caveat that they wish to stay?
Generally, what we've done in the past is we receive a letter from the member
Okay.
first. Then we ask the board, is this okay with you? And the board, as I said, no to some members before.
I see.
But it gives them a chance to have buy-in on who their members are. And then it comes back to us with the board said they have no issues with these particular people, or the board strongly recommends this particular person, that kind of thing. So that's the second step, and then it comes back to us for final approval.
Okay, super. So I'm just going to make a note on here so I'm not wondering. Non-voting member Laura Obert on the Broadwater Trust Board. Your term expired 6/30/2012, but I assume, does this then roll with your commission appointment?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
great. I'll make that change here. Going over the next page, compensation board. Obviously Ron Nelson no longer works here. But are these specific to positions? Clerk and recorder, so Rhonda Nelson then is Doug Ellis through his term. Val is through her term, and Brenda Ludwig is through her term. I don't want to assume things, but that's what it appears to me.
Statute says that there needs to be a certain number of elected officials.
Okay,
So what I would suggest is send an email just to elected officials, letting them know, other than the commissioner or the county attorney, letting them know that there's 3 positions open, everyone has expired,
okay.
except for Val, right? Or is she also expiring?
You know, there was no information I could find on a date of expiration
Okay,
on hers.
what you could do is just say, we have open seats available due to expired terms. If you're interested, please email back.
Great. So all elected without the commission and the attorney, because obviously you're automatically on there.
And I'll get you the statute, because I think it's 3.
Probably because it's 3 citizens too.
Right.
Which makes sense, okay. Tax appeal board, Leonard Jeffrey verbally told me that he wishes to extend his time on the board, which is why it's in blue.
We should run an ad for the citizen members of the compensation board.
Okay.
What about the tax appeal? Should we advertise for that too? Or should we advertise for all of these?
Well, the tax appeal board, the 2 members' terms aren't expiring in 2016. Leonard Joffrey expired 2014. He thought he was staying on. In fact, we had our only meeting mid-December, and he thought that he was still a member at the time anyway.
And that's probably due to me. Nothing was changed on these, but 6 to 9 months ago, we talked about this casually, and about changing the boards from July 1 through June 30th to January 1 through December 31, because most citizens go by calendar years rather than fiscal. And so it also gave us about 6 months for this change to be realized. So I told Leonard he was still on through the December.
say if he's interested in serving, keep him.
He's on through December of 15, and that's where it's at.
Well, he would like to stay. He would like to, so if we can give him, 3 years. So would that be 17? He'd be good through 12/31/17. And I think the tax appeal board, I think 3 years is a good time, just having sat on there one time, you know, they do the reassessments every 5 years. And so every 5 years, it seems like they're going to have a busy year, so it's kind of nice to have not new people learning, you know, to where they could have been for 1 easier and then maybe a little more busy year. So,
Nicole, have any of these been advertised?
No,
Okay.
I wasn't comfortable doing that without talking to you first.
I would like, regarding the tax appeal board, to move that we keep Leonard Jeffrey on as a member in the interim until we have an advertising ability for him to put the names in.
Okay.
I fully expect we'll keep him with his experience, but I just think we need to make sure we advertise to give everyone a fair shot
Sure, okay.
before putting him back on permanently.
Okay, so advertise for tax appeal board as well.
Yep. But in the interim, I do move that we have him as a member.
I'll second that.
Second, keep Counselor on as a tax appeal board. All in favor?
As an interim member.
Interim member.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Passed. I thought in the past you always had to advertise for all boards, the vacancies on those.
Well, and see, the way that I thought it had run was if members weren't interested in staying on, then we would advertise. At least that's how I viewed it with my planning board and my Parks and Rec board in the past. So if I had members that weren't interested in staying on, then I would
Then
tell
you
Debbie and
advertise.
she would advertise.
Oh,
Not
okay.
in the case of, say, like the tax
Oh.
appeal board, where we do have a person who's interested in staying, to not advertise then, because we do have a full board. Does that make sense? That we didn't advertise
That's
unless we had a
probably-
vacancy.
Yeah, is that according to code or anything? I mean.
I don't know what it's
Yeah.
according to, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean, I
okay.
just know that that's the way
Yeah.
that I functioned in the past with the planning board. I communicate with Debbie when she was doing this and say, hey, you know, the planning board lost a member. This person isn't interested in renewing, and so then she would run the advertisement. However, if my board was satisfied with where they were with their 5 members, no advertisement was run, even if they simply just renewed. So,
I think it's important to still advertise,
okay,
but I also think that when it comes time for the board to see who's interested, I certainly can understand where they'd be looking for experience as an asset.
so starting, I guess, back at the beginning with the airport board, should I also run an advertisement since Al's position?
I would say yes.
I'd say if you're gonna run one, better run them all.
Okay, all right.
How do you feel?
Trust board, how does the trust board operate?
The
That's a
same,
separate-
actually.
But just the same, so I'd still advertise for trust board members, even though these two, okay.
Yes.
And I would contact Debbie Randolph, since she's the secretary of this board, and let her know these folks' terms have expired. They need to express interest in renewing to the board, even though we're advertising for positions.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yep. Essentially reapply.
super, okay.
Well, and what about the non-voting members?
They should as well.
Okay. Thank you. So. Fair board, I'll do the same thing. Rural fire, we really have nothing to do with it, it's all an election process, same with hospital. Correct. I just kept it yellow because it was very outdated. Mosquito, I will advertise. Museum. 7 folks' terms were expiring. I received letters of intent to continue from 5 of them. I will still run the advertisement.
Did you get those in last fall?
Yeah, Yeah, I'm thinking that it was sometime July, August, I think was the latest dated letter.
There's been some changes, and those changes will affect the members.
Okay.
So that one we for sure have to re-advertise. And Paul Putz is the chairman.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Planning, I will run an advertisement. Oh, and I got a verbal update from Chuck. Just for reference. TV board. There were 3 members listed in the file. Those 3 members that I could find paperwork on, I know are deceased. So, I'm not sure where the TV board stands.
The commissioners have been the TV board.
Okay,
Harold Gibbs has via email stated interest
okay.
in serving, but if you would advertise that one
Okay, and
as well.
what is the membership on this? I couldn't find any consistency through the file. Do you know?
It's the commission, because
Okay.
nobody else has ever put their names in. So
Okay.
we've been the TV board by default.
Okay, so I will just advertise for a non-specific number on all of these.
I would suggest maybe 3 for the TV board,
Okay.
just because we've had such a hard time.
Okay.
If we get more, we can always adjust that.
Great, okay. I will advertise for need as well then. Parks and Rec. Send an advertisement. Solid waste. You know, in some of these, the gentleman on here, his expiration was 2012. I don't know if he's actually on the board or not, but I couldn't find where he was not on the board.
He's actually the chairman,
Okay.
and I have an old board. I wonder if it just didn't get updated. So that's good that we're addressing this.
I had a list similar to that one as well, but I couldn't find on there. I took everything off of there, or off of, if that's the same one that I was using,
I mean, I bet it is.
and filled it into my spreadsheet.
Yeah, and I don't see him on here, so that's a good one that we need to address.
Okay. All right. So I will advertise for this one, as well as the Board of Health. So I will still contact each of the chairperson, liaison, secretary, point person on each of the boards. Let them know these folks' term is expiring. If they are wishing to continue serving, they need to submit a letter of interest to me. But in the meantime, I will advertise for these positions, and then we'll go through this. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Sounds good.
perfect. Who pays for this? I assume this does not come out of my planning budget.
It doesn't?
I'm throwing it out there. I don't know how my planning board would feel about that.
We should be able to put that on
Commissioners.
commissioners for.
This is county management,
Okay,
that's commissioners.
okay.
Yep.
Great. So I will run advertisements for each of these. And in the past, did you run, I can check with Debbie, but do you recall, did they run advertisements separately, or was it one block?
I always thought there was one block.
And then each of the boards listed, correct? To save money. It just
Exactly.
doesn't, I mean, you might not get as much notice that way if you don't, but for each of those advertisements, that would get expensive.
I would suggest 2 things. One is the legal that has all the boards mentioned, and that way it takes up more space, but it's also less expensive.
Okay,
And then 2, write a letter to the editor, just letting the people know that this is a great way to serve, and these are the ones that are available, and if you'd like to serve, we'd love to have you submit your letter of interest to you at such and such.
perfect, okay.
And
So
if you
we'll
wanna-
notice and we'll let you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm happy to edit if you like.
Super. Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Letters to the editor are free, which is why I bring it up.
Yeah, but and people read them, so that's a good idea too. Not a lot of people read the legals.
Right, yeah.
That's good to know. Oh, cool. can I get a copy of the handout? Yep, you sure can. I'm not gonna give you this one, because it's
I
on
know.
spreadsheet. That's all right, but I'll get one. Alright. Anything else?
No, good work.
So,
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.